Think you're saving money at the pump? Think again. That smart habit of topping off your tank or splurging on premium gas could actually be destroying your engine and draining your wallet. These fuel-saving tricks aren't just useless, they're silently wrecking your car's fuel system and setting you up for massive repair bills. Today, we're busting 21 fuel myths that still fool drivers everywhere, and chances are you're falling for at least one of them. Let's kick things off with the most expensive mistake of them all. Let's begin with myth number 21, which is the most costly one that drivers continue to believe. You receive more for your money by topping. The pump clicks when you draw up to it and fill it up. To get an even total, however, you squeeze in a few more pennies rather than stopping. Perhaps a $50 or $60 one, a poor decision. That additional fuel, it will enter your vapor recovery system rather than your tank. In particular, a component known as the charcoal canister, which is designed to deal with vapors rather than liquid fuel. It becomes flooded, ruined, and your check engine light comes on when you overfill it, and swapping it out? Just because you chose to round up, it amounts to $400. The worst thing, however, is the additional petrol you believed you were purchasing. The majority of it never reaches your tank. It is immediately drawn back into the pump pipe. As a result, you're really paying for petrol that you don't retain and harming your own fuel system rather than receiving your money's worth. Have you ever done this? Honestly, the following myth is much worse, so leave a comment and keep watching. You're already squandering money before you've even started the car. Myth number 20. All cars run better with premium fuels. Warden KD200. In addition, let's dispel one of the most costly myths in the world when discussing gas station waste. Many drivers believe that premium gas is just superior, cleaner, and more potent. Perhaps it adds a little boost to your engine. Not at all. Premium fuel doesn't provide you with greater horsepower, better economy, or a longer engine life unless your car expressly needs high-octane fuel, such as many turbocharged or high-compression engines. Premium fuel merely raises the price. It isn't of superior quality. There are no special detergents in it. All it does is prevent engine knock while under pressure, which is only important if your engine is designed to need it. In fact, some drivers claim that their premium mileage is worse than that of conventional engines. Why? Performance may somewhat decline since the engine's timing and sensors are unsure of how to handle the increased octane. Therefore, you are wasting money unless your manual specifies that a premium is necessary. However, fuel waste is not limited to the gas station. Myth number 19. It takes many minutes for modern cars to warm up. Hidden damage, idle motors, and cold mornings. Many drivers still believe they are helping the engine by letting their car warm up for 5 or even 10 minutes. However, since the 1980s, such advice has proven incorrect. Oxygen detectors and onboard computers to make instantaneous, real-time adjustments. The worst part is that too much idle time is more detrimental than beneficial. Your car runs rich and dumps more fuel into the combustion chamber while it is idling cold. That fuel has the potential to enhance carbon buildup, remove protective oil, and wash down cylinder walls. In addition to squandering time, you're also increasing engine wear, increasing pollution, and using fuel that doesn't get you anywhere. The EPA and other contemporary manufacturers now advise starting the engine, waiting 30 seconds, and driving carefully. This preserves important parts and heats everything more quickly. This behavior is costing you more than simply petrol, yet old habits do not go away. Myth number 18 will also hurt if you believe that fuel system cleansers are a clever solution. At number 18, we offer fuel cleansers and additives that rapidly boost performance. At the petrol station, you've seen them waiting in line among the lottery tickets and beef jerky. One bottle promises to increase mileage, while another promises to restore power. A third claims that it immediately cleans injectors. It sounds fantastic until you discover that the majority of it is merely expensive. Labeled kerosene, the fact is that most over-the-counter cleansers have little discernible effect. Although some fuel additives may be helpful in certain situations, such as for older engines with carbon buildup or ethanol-related problems. The ECU in your car is designed to adjust to changing fuel conditions, and detergent additives are already legally included in modern fuels. These impulsive purchases are little more than snake oil in a fancy package, unless your technician suggests a particular solution for a genuine problem. Even worse, if used improperly, some might damage fuel sensors or result in residue accumulation. I apologize to anybody who has ever poured one in and hoped for a smoother ride. Frequent driving in a healthy engine are the finest fuel cleaners. Wait till you see what's really in that inexpensive gas pump down the block. If you believe that all gas is made equal, the 17th myth is that all fuel is essentially the same. You know, gas is gas. Not exactly, just choose the cheapest pump and although the majority of fuel originates from the same refinery pipes, everything changes once it is delivered. Proprietary mixtures and detergent packets may help with that. High-end companies like Shell, Chevron, and Exxon use additives that keep combustion efficiency high, clean fuel injectors, and lower carbon buildup, often going far beyond EPA regulations. Off-brand, cheaper stations, they may merely satisfy the legal requirements. Some employ inferior additives or none at all, and fuel stored in subterranean tanks for extended periods of time may collect moisture or silt, which eventually impairs performance. After a single tank, you won't notice it, but after 50,000 miles, when it comes to clogged sensors, rough idling, or injector cleanings, the difference might be hundreds. No, not all gas is created equal, and you can end up paying far more in the long term even if you save 5 cents a gallon at a budget station. But what if you attempt to make up for that poor quality with a bottle that claims to have greater power and instant octane? At that point, myth number 16 abruptly shifts into the realm of snake oil and flawed reasoning. Myth number 16, octane boosters increase horsepower. You're at the car parts shop when you see another bottle that claims to provide noticeable performance improvements. Simply add it and presto, cleaner combustion, improved throttle response, and more power. That sounds fantastic, but here's the reality. Octane boosters have no effect on the majority of cars. Octane rating is resistance to detonation, not horsepower. If an engine is adjusted for higher octane, it may run more aggressively. However, increasing the octane won't reveal any latent power unless your engine is turbocharged, has high compression, or is tuned with sophisticated timing maps. As with needless premium fuel, boosting octane when it is not needed might actually marginally decrease efficiency. In those large plus 10 octane ones, assertions, false. Unless you pour in half the bottle, or sometimes more, many boosters only enhance octane by fractions of a point. Usually that $12 can of racing fuel is really a costly placebo and marketing ploy. Have you ever used one of these and seen a real change? Tell us. Next, we're going after a misconception that deceives even cautious drivers, since it occurs after you've already filled up with petrol. Premium fuel is required for high-mileage engines. Your cars gain some respect after 150,000 miles, don't they? A better oil, perhaps? Why not use better fuel as well? Because they believe it would smooth things out, clean things out, or prolong the engine's life? Many drivers wind up switching to premium gas in older engines. However, unless your owner's handbook specifies that a premium is needed, that update essentially does nothing other than raising the price. High-mileage engines may have carbon buildup, run a bit rougher, or burn a little more oil. Premium fuel, however, doesn't address any of those issues. Simply said, premium's higher octane prevents detonation. Neither does it burn hotter or cleaner. It's not more sophisticated. In fact, the advantages of higher octane vanish entirely if your ignition timing is already conservative because of engine wear. Focus on upkeep, frequent oil changes, fuel injector cleaning, spark plug replacements, and steady driving if you want to support an aged engine. Although premium fuel may seem like a luxury, your engine isn't aware of the difference. Indeed, there will be more significant fuel misconceptions in the future. The worst misconceptions are still to come, including the one about your car using more fuel to maintain a constant speed. If this one caught you off guard, press the logo in the corner and subscribe. Myth number 14. Your engine will be destroyed by ethanol fuel. Ethanol is one of the few subjects that divides auto owners. Some drivers claim that their engines were destroyed by E10 fuel. Others utilize it without any problems on a daily basis. What is the truth then? The majority of US fuel is infused with ethanol to save costs and pollutants. Even while it has drawbacks, ruining your engine is a huge exaggeration, unless you drive an older car made before 2001 or leave it sitting for a long time. Because it is hygroscopic, ethanol draws in water. Over time, it may cause metal components to corrode and stored fuel to phase separate. However, contemporary fuel systems, particularly those found in cars manufactured after 2001, are designed to withstand up to 10% ethanol or E10 without experiencing any difficulties. Boats, tiny engines, vintage cars, and cars kept in storage are the places where complications arise. Yes, ethanol may cause significant harm in specific situations if left addressed, but E10 isn't killing anything for the average commuter. Blends with high ethanol and E85. If your car isn't compatible with flex fuel, it's a different matter. Speaking of overlooked components, myth number 13 discusses one that silently safeguards your engine until it's too late. Myth number 13. It is never necessary to replace a fuel filter. Your engine may not be killed by ethanol, but the fluid that passes through it may. Many drivers now believe that fuel filters are lifelong components. After all, service manuals seldom ever mention them, and they're hidden somewhere and difficult to get to. However, fuel filters fulfill their term precisely. They prevent tiny dirt particles, rust flakes, and debris from getting into your injectors. Additionally, that filter may eventually clog, limiting flow and making your fuel pump work harder. As part of routine maintenance, older cars should have their fuel filters changed every 30,000 to 50,000 miles. The filters in contemporary cars are more difficult and costly to maintain since they last longer and may be built into the tank or pump itself. Lifetime, however, does not equate to eternity. You're taking a risk if your car has more than 100,000 miles on it and you have never checked or changed the fuel filter. Clogged filter symptoms might be mistaken for other issues. Long crank times, stalling, choppy idling, power loss under load, or even sporadic misfire codes, and it's a 500-code error to replace a fuel pump because the filter failed. Avoid waiting for the red flags. The second misconception concerns a deliberate behavior that seems wise but subtly ruins your catalytic converter. Myth number 12. In the rain, your car's mileage decreases. Rain is falling. You look at your miles per gallon gauge, drive more carefully, and the traffic calms down. Oh? What's causing my worse mileage? Many drivers believe that rain causes problems with the fuel system or engine, but the truth is far more straightforward. Indeed, your mileage is most likely worse. It's not because rain causes your car to use more petrol. The reason for this is because everything else changes. Rolling resistance is increased on wet roads. Water must be forced out of the road by your tires, and it requires more energy, particularly while traveling at highway speeds. Rain has an impact on tire traction and grip as well. Efficiency decreases even more if your tire pressure is a little low or your tread is warm. Furthermore, colder or humid air has a higher density, which results in a little bit greater aerodynamic drag. Not to mention that people brake more, accelerate more slowly, use wipers and headlights, and idle in slow traffic more when it's raining. Yes, your miles per gallon does decrease when you add everything together. It's because the circumstances are against you, not because the engine is having trouble. Speaking of little things that waste fuel, your gas cap conceals the next myth. Myth number 11. It doesn't matter whether the gas cap is unfastened. Maybe you twist it till it clicks once, or you fill it full and tighten the cap. Not a huge thing, is it? However, it is. One of the most frequent causes of a check engine light is a loose, broken, or missing gas cap. Under pressure, modern fuel systems are sealed. That cap keeps your emission system operating properly, maintains vacuum, and stops fuel evaporation. The onboard diagnostics in your car detect any cracks in the seal, no matter how little, and generate a code. Even though you may not experience any symptoms, that little leak might cause fuel vapor accumulation, reduce your fuel efficiency, and cause evaporative emissions problems. Excessive air exposure also speeds up the process of moisture contamination in the tank over time, particularly if the car is left sitting. And to identify an issue that is just a $12 cap that is not tightened, check to see whether the rubber gasket is worn and tighten it until it clicks 3 times. Although it's a little component, it seals a costly system. Next up, a do-it-yourself tip you saw online that, far from improving your fuel efficiency, actually makes it worse. Myth number 10. Tire inflators immediately increase your mileage. As have been shown to you, instant fuel savings are promised by a tire inflator that simply plug it in, push a button, and see an increase in your miles per gallon. It may seem obvious, but here's the reality. The air pressure, which you could check for free, is what saves fuel, not the device. Rolling resistance is increased by underinflated tires. Moving the car requires more effort from your engine, particularly while traveling on a highway. Tire wear may rise by up to 25%, and fuel economy can be reduced by 1-2 miles per gallon, even if all 4 tires are just 5 psi low. However, these so-called tire boosters, the majority are really glorified little compressors that blink and have a plastic gauge. Your tires are not miraculously adjusted to the ideal pressure by them. In actuality, low-cost models often exhibit extreme inaccuracy, either inflating excessively or insufficiently. Use a suitable tire gauge and inflate to the PSI suggested by your manufacturer if you really want to improve mileage. Not the tire wall's number. Gimmicks don't matter, but air does. Wait till you see what drafting behind trucks truly does to your engine. Speaking of clever-sounding concepts that end up backfiring. Myth number 9. Fuel is saved by drafting behind trucks. You're traveling at 65 on the highway. A semi-truck is up ahead. Close behind it, you relax and very near. Drafting is a technique that may in fact lower aerodynamic drag. It's a bad idea unless you're racing at Daytona, but NASCAR utilizes it for a reason. First, not much fuel is saved. To see any discernible increase in fuel economy, you would need to tailgate dangerously close within 50 feet or less. Second, there is a huge danger. You are invisible to trucks. You are no longer visible. How far can you brake? Also gone. One abrupt halt, as well as your bread. In addition, you are seated in an area of turbulent airflow. Your engine and gearbox must constantly adapt as a result of that continuous buffeting, which increases mechanical wear and causes irregular throttle behavior. Additionally, drafting confuses the sensors on your car if it has adaptive cruise, uneven speed. Abrupt braking and overcorrections are all detrimental to fuel efficiency. Drafting may save you a few miles per gallon, but the price in terms of drivetrain health, safety, and stress is just too high. Indeed, until you see what it's doing to your engine, it does seem efficient. To let us know that these fallacies are worth dispelling, press like if you're learning anything new. Myth number 8. Opening the windows takes less fuel than running the air conditioner. The temperature is high. I'll save fuel by skipping the AC. You convince yourself as you turn on the car and down the windows. Makes sense, doesn't it? Avoiding air conditioning must conserve gas, since it consumes energy. Here's the truth, however. Driving with the windows down at modest speeds burns a little less fuel than using the air conditioner. Open windows, however, produce aerodynamic resistance when you reach highway speeds, thus making your car a parachute. Because of the drag, your engine has to work harder and often uses more fuel than the air conditioner would. AC systems now are far more efficient than they were in the past. Depending on demand and temperature, the compressor alternates between turning on and off. Therefore, the fuel consumption is really rather low, usually between 0.2 and 0.5 gallons per hour, unless you're blasting extreme cold continuously. On the other hand, depending on the design of your car, driving 70 mph with all windows down might result in a 10% decrease in fuel efficiency. In summary, break the windows while driving in the city. Close them and turn on the air conditioner on the highway, however. Doesn't that sound like a wise habit? Watch what some drivers do, believing they are protecting their engine before they even put their cars in gear. The 7th myth is that you should always fill up at half full. Never let it go below half, according to some people. It's safer in an emergency, cleaner for the engine, and better for the pump. This myth is more opinion than science, even if it makes some sense. Let's dissect it. Yes, your fuel pump cools itself by using fuel and is located within the tank. Therefore, running close to empty all the time, particularly in hot weather, might eventually reduce pump life. However, the majority of contemporary fuel systems are built with this in mind. Your pump won't overheat from a low tank unless you run it bone dry on a regular basis. It's also untrue that fuel splashing up trash from the bottom occurs. The bottom of the tank is already where your fuel pickup is. It draws from the same source, whether you're half full or almost empty. Nowadays, it's a good idea to have at least a quarter tank for isolated driving or emergencies, but just half a tank? That is a matter of taste. It's not a golden rule. Let's resolve this then. Do you wait till the danger light blinks, or do you fill up religiously Leave your habit in the space provided. We want to know how you roll. You should only fill up early in the morning is the 6th myth. I'm sure you've heard this one. Get petrol just in the morning. Because gas expands in the heat, you'll receive more fuel for your money when it's cold. It sounds smart, but that's not how gas stations operate in reality. Although retail fuel tanks are located many feet below, where temperatures remain surprisingly constant throughout the day, fuel does expand somewhat with temperature. Even if it's 8 a.m., the fuel temperature hardly changes around 4 p.m. Modern gas pumps are calibrated by volume, not density, and subterranean tanks may only vary by a few degrees or even a few pennies across hundreds of liters, even if surface temperatures reach 90 degrees Celsius. The difference between hot afternoon and cool morning fill-ups is thus negligible unless you're filling up a fuel truck. People continue to be duped by this myth, which has persisted for decades, into waiting in line at the pump before dawn. But instead of using temperature-based gas tricks, concentrate on tire pressure, smooth acceleration, and routine maintenance if you want to really save money on petrol. What about the fuel stabilizer bottle that's on the shelf in your garage? Is that material merely gathering dust, or is it really helping? The 5th myth is that fuel stabilizers don't work. Your classic is put away for the winter. It may be a motorbike, a convertible, or a weekend car that you won't use for many months. Just fill up the tank and forget it, someone offers. You're wrong. Fuel stabilizers are a fraud. Ethanol, a component of modern fuel, draws moisture. Additionally, fuel that is exposed to air gradually begins to oxidize, producing deposits that corrode metal and clog injectors as well as varnish and gum. Untreated, fuel starts to deteriorate after 30 to 60 days. It may become fully unstable after 6 months. Stabilizers may help with it. They keep gas usable for a year or more by slowing the breakdown process, but they don't revitalize damaged fuel. Stabilizers are inexpensive insurance if your car sits for weeks at a time, particularly in temperatures that fluctuate. You don't need it. However, if you drive often or refill frequently, snake oil isn't it. It's just designed for a certain kind of owner. Useless is not the same as mistreated. Additionally, the next misconception explains what really happens to your fuel when the temperature lowers. So if you believe that winter and summer gas are interchangeable, you should reconsider. The fourth myth is that winter gas is a fraud. In January, you fill up and all of a sudden your mileage falls. The cold is the reason given by some drivers. Some claim it's that winter mix that has been diluted. Winter gas is genuine and not a hoax, even if they are defrauding us. A different fuel composition is used by refineries during the colder months. In frigid temperatures, it helps your engine start and operate more smoothly because it contains more volatile substances that evaporate more readily. Blends made in the summer are heavier and evaporate more slowly, which is excellent for avoiding vapor lock but bad for cold starts. Therefore, consider winter gas to be the hibernating fuel for your engine. When everything is cold and slow, it heats up the system, burns more quickly, and ignites more easily. The drawback? You get fewer miles since it has less energy per gallon. It's not your imagination that the MPG dropped. Chemistry is involved. Do you still believe it is a scam? Don't blame the station. Blame the season. We are now in the top 3, where misconceptions range from somewhat inaccurate to costly and engine damage. The third myth deceives even those who believe they are more knowledgeable. The third myth is that cleaner engines are associated with greater octane. We are now in the top 3, where misconceptions range from somewhat inaccurate to costly and engine damaging. The third myth deceives even those who believe they are more knowledgeable. High-quality gas burns cleaner. It maintains the health of your engine. The additional cents per gallon are worthwhile. It seems high-end and sounds clever, but it's totally incorrect. Cleanliness has nothing to do with octane. It solely gauges how resistant a fuel is to knocking while under pressure. Instead of burning cleanly, higher octane fuel burns more slowly. It is intended for engines with high compression or turbochargers, where damage may result from an early explosion. Your additional octane isn't helping you if the handbook for your car doesn't state that premium is needed. This is where the twist lies. The detergents in regular fuel are often identical to those in premium. Actually, compared to generic premium mixes, some premium regular gas includes more cleaning chemicals. A normal engine is not cleaned by using premium. All it does is drain your pocketbook. Do you want your engine to be clean? Avoid marketing gimmicks and stick to high-end stations and routine maintenance. Next, we'll explore a fallacy that has caused division among car owners for many years, particularly if you drive a car manufactured before to the 2000s. The second myth is that all engines are harmed by ethanol. Any old-fashioned gearhead would tell you that ethanol waste damages your engine, and they were correct decades ago. It is hygroscopic to ethanol. It takes in moisture. Additionally, it corrodes older equipment more readily, such as carburetors not designed for alcohol mixes, gaskets, and rubber fuel lines. Running E10 or E15 on vintage cars, motorbikes, lawnmowers, or boats manufactured before to the 2000s may undoubtedly lead to degradation, blockage, or, if left unchecked, corrosion. But contemporary cars? A different tale. Most engines have been designed to run smoothly at up to 15% ethanol since the mid-2000s. They make use of fuel system calibrations that automatically adjust to mix changes in ethanol-resistant components. Actually, in well-designed engines, ethanol reduces carbon accumulation by increasing octane and burning cleaner. Where do issues still arise? Leaving ethanol-blended fuel alone for an extended period of time. Gumming and moisture separation start at that point. Therefore, holding ethanol does more harm than driving with it. The bad guy isn't ethanol, it is using the incorrect fuel for the incorrect car. And now, myth number 1. The most ludicrous enduring fuel lie in existence, the one that leaves mechanics incredulous. The first myth is that power increases with fuel. The number of individuals who still believe this one will surprise you. Simply put, extra gas in it. Your engine will work harder as flooding your cylinders is the source of horsepower. To be clear, more fuel does not equate to greater power. Balance is key to internal combustion. For fuel to burn effectively, the stoichiometric ratio, the quantity of air required, must be satisfied. Adding more fuel without adding air only results in a rich mixture. Additionally, it results in incomplete combustion, carbon buildup, decreased MPG, and decreased performance if your engine isn't adjusted for it. It's similar to adding additional flour to cake batter without making any other changes. All it does is create a mess. Only when your ECU or tune requires it, such as in high-performance or turbocharged engines under boost, does more fuel indicate greater power. For everyone else, you're not making it. You're simply destroying electricity and wasting petrol. Thus, 21 fuel misconceptions have been dispelled. Tap the logo in the corner to subscribe and press like if any of them caught you off guard. Additionally, drive more carefully and prevent expensive damage if you want your car to live longer.